Punnett squares. So we take a look here. The first we're going to talk about what exactly is a Punnett square. Now, a Punnett square is used to predict and to compare genetic crosses. When we take a look at the first term here is genotype. The genetic makeup. It's the genes inside you. Well, you can't see your genes, so we have to represent them somehow. We use letters to do that. Homozygous means similar alleles. Well, if we take a look, remember, alleles are different forms of the same gene. So here we have homozygous dominant, big T, big T. Remember, capital letters represents dominant alleles. You notice that they're both big T's, so if they're not big T, big G, it's the same letter represents for the same gene. In this case, we're dealing with, let's say, big T represents tall, and little t represents short, so we're dealing with height here. The gene of height, big T represents the physical appearance of being tall, and little t is short. So homozygous dominant is big T, big T. Homozygous recessive is little t, little t. Now heterozygous means different alleles, big T, little t. Now if we take a look at this big T, little t, remember the capital letter represents its dominant, so if I looked at it and it's, okay, well, this organism going to be tall or short? Well, according to the law of dominance, principle of dominance, it says that the big T is dominant over the recessive, the little t, therefore this organism is going to be tall. Right, well, how in the world am I going to remember the difference between something that's homozygous and heterozygous? Well, homozygous means it's the same or similar. Heterozygous means it's different. Well, a homosexual is someone who likes someone of the same sex. Boy likes boy, girl likes girl. A heterosexual is someone who likes somebody of a different sex. Boy likes girl. So now that I've scarred you, you'll remember this for the rest of your life. Homozygous is same, heterozygous is different. Well, let's talk about the phenotype, the physical appearance. The phenotype is the physical appearance. Phenotype, physical. Whereas genotype represents the genes. Genotype, gene. The phenotype are things that you can see with your actual eyes, like brown hair, tall, short, blue eyes, etc. All right, let's try an example of a Punnett square. What exactly is it? Well, if you take a look here, it's basically one big window. And it represents two organisms and the possible kids that they could have. Key here is possible. Well, on the very outside window, this represents the parent's gametes. If you remember, there are two alleles per gene. Remember, you get one allele from mom and one allele from dad. And in meiosis, each sex cell only has one allele for a trait. So therefore, you'll notice that in each of these boxes, you're only having one letter. So each of those top boxes represents one gamete from the parents. So this Punnett square represents Mendel's first cross of a tall plant versus a short plant. So big T, tall, versus a short, little t. And the way a Punnett square works is it's really easy. All you do is simply bring down the letters from each box. T comes this way, big T comes this way, little t's move across this way. So in the end, you're going to have big T, little t, big T, little t, big T, little t, big T, little t. Those are the four possibilities. Now, they happen to be all the same in this case. So let's talk about the phenotypic and genotypic ratios now. The phenotypic ratios, what does it look like? So if we have big T, little t, big T is dominant, so they're all going to be tall. Whoa, what happened there? So they're all tall. And then we take a look at the genotypic ratio. These are going to be big T, little t, so it's 1 to 0, all short. Now you'll notice all of these ratios here are not just numbers, there's a label with it. All right, 1 tall, 1 short, or 0 short, to 1 big T, little t. All right, so they have to have some sort of a number with it, or letter with it. So let's take a look at the next one here. Remember, these are the possible generations. So if we take a look here, each of these boxes.
Johnson, please come to the vocal music room.
Well, there you go. They should probably get going. So each of these right here represent possible kids. That's important to understand, that these represent the possible offspring that could take place. So that's a big thing to remember. So let's take a look at the next one here. Take a look in here. The F, this is generation where he took the first generation, right, and as parents, and this is going to be the second generation, the F2 generation. What kids are there going to be here? So if we take a look here, remember, big T, little t is one parent, big T, little t is the other parent. Remember, only one allele per sex cell. Big T's come down. So we get big T, big T, little t, and then little t, little t. Remember, these are the possible kids. So if I had 4 kids, it does not mean I'm going to get one of each of these. I could get 4 kids, and they all could be little t, little t. We don't know. It's all the chance. Remember, Punnett squares show the possible outcomes, not the actual outcomes. So the genotypic ratio here is going to be what? Well, there's 1 big T, 2 big T, little t's, and 1 little t, little t. Now, when you ever have 2 heterozygous parents come together, you will always have this ratio of a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. Now, the phenotypic ratio, what does it look like? Well, they're all going to be, 3 are going to be tall, and 1's going to be short. And this concludes your daily dose of Punnett squares. And maybe we'll turn it off. Here we go.